Welcome back, everybody. Today we are back in audiophile speaker world, and we're going to look at a pair of speakers that I found to be astonishing. These are the Sonor Audio Claro 8.2s. Follow along and I'll show you exactly why these things are so good. And man, they are awesome. Before we get started, if you're into tech, hi-fi, or movies, be sure to push the subscribe button for new weekly videos. While I get these speakers unboxed, let's talk a little bit about Sonor Audio, and then we'll talk about the specifications of these speakers specifically. This is a hi-fi company based in South Africa. They export here to the USA and to the rest of the world, and their focus is on the highest quality handmade audiophile speakers that can be produced. I did a live stream with them, and you can find the link down below in the notes if you want to get more details about the company and their philosophy specifically. Needless to say, they're using the best quality components and materials to produce the best performing speaker. And if you look at these things, I mean, just on the outside, you can see the wood veneer, the grain, the texture is just stunning. Today we're going to be looking at the Claro 8.2. So this is a two-way speaker, two-way tower speaker featuring two 8-inch drivers and a Tractrix horn tweeter. It's a bass reflex design, meaning that it's ported, and the speakers are massive. They weigh 53 kilograms each, so that's well over 100 pounds per. So this is no lightweight type of speaker. This is heavy duty. On the rear of the speaker, you have a pair of 5-way binding posts that have jumpers, meaning that you can buy amp or buy wire if that's your desire. It's important to note that these are front ported, and I really like front ported speakers. If you're going to go bass reflex, definitely go front ported because it allows you to have a wider selection of placement options inside of your room as opposed to rear ported, which creates some restrictions on where you can put them. I mean, you just can't put that port against a wall. You just can't do it. Assembly of the speaker is really straightforward. Basically, there's just assembly of the base and then attaching the base to the speaker itself. Everything else is ready to go. This took me about 10 minutes per once I figured out the process, so it's not very difficult. Let's take a look at some measurements for this Claro 8.2. Now, I first measured kind of back at the main listening position, and this is in my office demo room where I do a ton of my listening and break in for speakers. And so this is also measured from 20 to 20,000 hertz. So this is a full sweep. And let's talk about the top and the bottom, right? Those are the places that get interesting for me. And just to point out, this has a lot of room stuff going on here. So, you know, this is not an anechoic chamber. So these items, these big dips are all room induced, but you can kind of see what that curve would be without the room. And that's pretty outstanding curve, actually. I mean, this thing is strong down low. Now we're getting room gain, but room gain doesn't do all of that. You know what I mean? So there's a pretty good extension off of these towers. And I measured at the same position, a little bit louder each time, so we could see if there's anything odd going on from that perspective. And the short answer there is no. Everything looks really linear, no issues at all. So I would say probably better than average bass response for a couple of 8-inch drivers in a tower. It is ported, so you get a little help there as well. But I think that's a really great result. And then here on the top end, you know, once you get up here to 10,000 hertz, you get a very slight roll off. And, you know, that's going to be somewhere around 3 decibels from the very audible 10K to the absolutely nobody can hear it at 20K kind of thing. And then, you know, maybe 15K is where, you know, most people lose their hearing, particularly if you're 40 and up, something like that. And you're only looking at like 1 decibel down there. So in all of reality, the very top end of this is flat. And if you look across the whole spectrum, you know, everything falls into pretty much a 5 decibel plus or minus band. So I would say these are really linear speakers. which is what you want, right? And this is at the listening position. Now, I moved the mic up and did a little bit of a closer measurement as well. And this is going to give you more of a representation of what not to expect in a room, but what the speaker is really doing. And let me turn off these others. And I measured this again at 3 different volume levels. And man, this thing is flat. Maybe this 1K area right here is where we're handing off to the tweeter, possibly. That might be what's going on right there, which is my guess. And then, you know, we've got a couple of room notches right here. But I mean, if you look, this is 73.83 decibels. And then all the way at 20,000 hertz, you're right there. I mean, that's flat. You get a little bit of a, you know, a rise here in the center, but man, that's a really well constructed speaker. I like it. So all I can say is that from a performance measurement point of view, it looks pretty outstanding to me. I like it quite a bit. Now let's do a few sound demos. Remember, this isn't anything like what you will actually experience with the speakers, but maybe it gives you kind of an idea. And it lets me put some music in here, which I like doing, right? So first up, we're going to listen to The Weeknd, and the song is I Feel It Coming. And now for One Night in Bangkok by Murray Head from the musical Chess. Next up is Dying by Kill the Noise featuring UVS and Emily Hudson. And last but not least, we've got I Live for the Night by Cruella. Now let's get to the final word, and we're going to start out with some pros and cons for these speakers. So on the pro side, the build on these is immaculate. They're really perfect speakers. I like the look. I love the veneer. It's top notch. The sound is, what's the right way to describe it? It's perfect in the way that I like music to be perfect. So imaging is absolutely spot on. There's a lot of depth to the image. But the piece that I like the most is that these speakers truly are full range. They're going to get you all the way from 20 to 20,000, and it's rather flat, right? So you're not coloring the music with the speaker as much as some other speakers do, right? Now, every speaker is going to have its own timbre, its own sound, right? And that's why they're different speaker manufacturers, right? But this doesn't emphasize the highs or de-emphasize the lows, or something that I would consider to be more artificial. I love the way that this has got a great neutral sound that presents the material that is sent to the speaker. One note about these speakers as well is that if you look closely at the drivers, and you've been doing this for a while, you'll notice that these are ScanSpeak drivers. And if you're not familiar with that brand, it's a really, really great driver manufacturer. So as far as the transducers go, they're top notch, great manufacturer. So I put that into the pro column. From a cons point of view, I've got one thing to call out, and this is likely more personal than anything else, but I really like magnetic grills, and these are the old post type of grills. So they're more difficult to take on and take off. And I'm always scared that I'm going to break the little posts off. And, you know, these speakers aren't exactly easy to come by, meaning that you can't go down to Best Buy and find them. So if you need to replace those grills, for whatever reason, it might be a little more difficult. So that falls into the con category. Maybe down the line, these can be upgraded to magnetics in future models. But as far as a knock on a speaker goes, it's pretty small and relatively insignificant. A couple of other items to know about these speakers. If you're looking to purchase these in the United States, these can be found at Quarter Note Acoustics. I'll have a link down below. All in all, I give these 2 thumbs up. They sound magnificent. They look magnificent. And in the big scheme of things, they're not super expensive. All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you've liked this video, please like, subscribe, ring the bell, do all the things that you normally do. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video.